Word. Okay, so you guys should be able to see my PowerPoint file now. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Okay, good. You can see it? Okay, awesome. Sometimes I forget to advance the slides. So if I forget to advance the slides, just interrupt me because I have to do it on both computers since I do Zoom on this laptop. Okay, I'm gonna close these doors. So I don't bother you about that. Okay. So welcome to General Biology 1, BIOL1101. I'm going to talk, like I said, a little bit about me. I'll give you an intro to who I am and kind of my background, and then we'll get into some of the details of the course. Let's see. Before I forget, I have some notes at the top. If I know I mentioned this in my email, if for some reason your schedule works out better to be in the gold group or the green group and you're not in that group currently, send me an email after class and then I'll try to, I think there should be room to move a few people without having to match someone moving from the other group. But just email me if you would rather be you guys in the gold group or you guys on Zoom if you'd rather be in the green group, like switch the weeks that you're actually here in person. Email me and I'll try to work that out. It doesn't really matter to me who's here when, I just need to know who to expect and make sure we have enough seats. Okay, so General Biology 1, BIO1101. So yeah, a little bit about me first. I'm Dr. McDaniel, my pronouns are she, her, hers, and that's my email address. So email is always the best way to get in touch with me. If you send me an announcement through Canvas, same thing, I get it in my email, so that's fine too. And I really try to get back to you guys as quickly as possible. So within 24 hours, usually it's well before 24 hours, except maybe on the weekends. I like to step away from my computer and my phone on the weekends. So that might be one time where it might take a little bit longer for me to get back to you, but even then, probably not. My background is in entomology. So entomology is the study of insects. It's kind of weird that you can get a PhD in entomology, but there's a lot of really important insects in the world, especially from a kind of a pest standpoint. I'm more interested in sort of whole ecosystem studies. So I'm really interested in how we as humans are affecting the environment. And to look at that, I use insects. So they're really good bioindicators a lot of times to tell us if water is healthy or if the forest is healthy, that kind of stuff. So that's my background in general. I have a lot of different interests. I also teach anatomy and physiology, so human anatomy and physiology here. So I kind of have a really broad background, but that's kind of what my research was in for my PhD. I went to Georgia. Go Dogs. Yeah, so research interests specifically, wetland and aquatic ecology. So I love being in streams and wetlands and just walking around in the woods as much as possible. I don't get to as much as I would like. But if you have any interest in that and you want to get some research experience, which always looks good on resumes, I know that's probably really far down the road that you're thinking about it, but if you're thinking about any kind of postgraduate school or even jobs in something science oriented, I know all of you aren't necessarily science majors, but it really can add to your resume. And I'll do some plugs kind of later in the semester as I get these research projects started and going. So I'll remind you of that and just come talk to me if you do want to get some experience. It can be kind of formal, you can get credit for it, or it can be informal, just kind of go out into the wetland. I do a lot of work down here, kind of in the creek. Is that the right way? Yeah. In the creek and wetland down here on campus. Okay. Ah, yes. I do have a small family. So I have a 1.5-year-old son. He takes up a lot of my time, and that's probably why I may not get back to you as quickly on weekends as I should. I also have a husband who takes up my time, and then this little gremlin looking dog, which you can't really see very well here, but Yeah, that's just a way of me telling you, I may not get back to you right away. It's not because I'm not wanting to get back to you, but I like to spend time with my family when I'm not at work. And also my son just started daycare last Monday. He hasn't been in daycare since before the pandemic started. So he's probably gonna get sick a lot. That's my disclaimer to say, if I can't come to campus, if I have some symptoms of COVID, even if it's not COVID, I'm not allowed to come to campus just like you guys. I will email you and we'll just all meet on Zoom. Fingers crossed that never happens, but I have a feeling daycares are germ factories. So he's probably gonna get sick, which means I'm gonna get sick, which means I won't be able to necessarily teach in person. So I'll let you know as soon as possible, but please try to be understanding. Obviously, you guys may be in the same situation if you're exposed to someone who has COVID or if you get COVID yourself. So yeah, just, like last semester, let's all be flexible and understanding. Oh yeah, and so aside from tons of family time, since we don't really do anything anymore, I love to travel. I've traveled all over the world. I love, again, being outside, hiking, camping, all that good stuff. So that's me on one PowerPoint slide, just in a nutshell. A little bit about the course. This is much more pertinent to you. This is going to be an intro to basic themes of biology. So this is a small scale. There's Bio 1 and then there's Bio 2. So Bio 2 is kind of where my research is, what I'm most interested in, kind of community level, like big picture ecosystem stuff. In here, it's still fascinating, but it's more at the molecular and cellular level. So we're talking really small scale. There's going to be a good bit of chemistry. So if you've had a tough time with chemistry in the past, I'm going to try to get everyone on the same page. If you've never had a chemistry class, I'll keep that in mind and make sure that if I'm not explaining things at the level that you need, please let me know. I don't want to leave people behind. I hate when people are just totally confused in class because, I mean, a lot of times I've been through a lot of chemistry and biology classes, so I assume people may know more than they do. But it's okay if you don't. You don't have to have chemistry to take this class. I don't think. Okay, and I realize not everyone in here is a science major. So who wants to major in some kind of science? Like the minority of people. Anyone on, how many people on Canvas? Just raise your hand. Science, no? Okay, yeah, not many people. So I try to keep that in mind, but this is obviously a science class. Hopefully you find some of it interesting. You won't find all of it interesting, that's fair. I don't find all of it interesting, that's okay. So we're gonna begin your training as a scientist. Even if you're not interested in majoring in science or going into some scientific field, I think being able to think scientifically and to communicate that is really important. Then when you hear news stories about something, which we hear a lot about from a scientific perspective, you'll understand it better. You'll just have a better understanding of the world as a whole. And this is a challenging course. So especially if you don't necessarily have a scientific mind, it can be sort of challenging or much of a background in science. So you may have to put in a little extra time outside of class, studying your notes. Ask me questions. If you're confused about something, please ask. I would so much rather you ask than sit there confused. But I do want to say this is a challenging course for most people. And that's not to discourage you or scare you. It's more just be ready. It is challenging and you're going to see a lot of stuff that you've never seen before. You probably took a biology class in high school at some point, so hopefully you've seen a little bit of this. But just be prepared to maybe feel a little overwhelmed and be okay with that and just kind of learn it as slowly as you need to learn it. Okay, so preparation. I actually want to go down to number 4 first, which is read chapters. You don't have to get the textbook if you don't want to. So I think I put the 11th edition, is that 11th, is what I have. The 12th edition, I think, is what the bookstore has. It doesn't matter. It's basically the same thing. You can read the chapters if you want to. I don't think that's the best way, at least in here, to learn. the material that's on the exams will be coming from my slides. So the information will be what I present. If you want more background on it or you're confused about it and textbooks really help you, get the textbook and use the textbook. But I know telling people to read chapters, people don't read chapters. I tell my AMP class to read them, but I make them do outlines because it really helps them. In here, I don't think that's necessary, but I'll talk about note-taking in a minute. Note-taking is really important in here because all of the information that I present is fair game for an exam. Yeah, so before class, anything I post online, there won't really be much before class. It'll be in class or you'll have to complete it after class. Just keep an eye out for that and I'll let you know if there's anything that I post on Canvas. Come up with questions, what's confusing. That's kind of throughout the class really. And then always look at the announcements and the assignments on Canvas. I use Canvas obviously a lot, and I like to keep everything really organized. It helps me, and I think hopefully it helps you guys to know sort of what to expect and where to find stuff. So I'll show you how I have Canvas organized in just a little bit. All right. I do expect this to be a cooperative classroom. There's far fewer people in here than normally we'd have, but I'll have you guys doing some kind of interaction as much as possible from a distance. And then if you're on Zoom, I'll have you guys go into breakout groups to work on like handouts, have kind of small group discussions. So I just ask that you cooperate in those instances and actually participate. You'll get a lot out of them. The goal of those is to help you sort of apply what I'm talking about rather than me talking the whole time. You guys can sort of quiz yourselves or teach each other. I think that's really helpful. So yeah, respect your classmates by participating in those activities. Be engaged and participate. So if I'm asking questions, feel free to answer, and being wrong is always okay. I've been wrong so many times in my life and it never feels great, but you learn a lot from it, and no one in here, because I want this to be a respectful, cooperative classroom, is gonna judge you. It's fine. The likelihood that most of the other people in the classroom don't know the answer is pretty high as well, so keep that in mind. All the work in here is gonna be yours. I don't think there might be a few group handouts that you do, but the big assignments are really all on you. So it's all individual. So the work you turn in is still yours. Homework, unless I say otherwise, should all be your work. Okay. So during class, this is probably one of the most important aspects. Take notes. So I know some people are really good at taking notes. And if that's the case, then you have a strategy that works for you, go with that. I have a document here with note-taking strategies. If you have never really been great at knowing how to take notes. So for you guys on Zoom, this document is on Canvas. So you can open it up, download it. I won't go over it in a whole bunch of detail. I'll kind of just hit on the main points. I'll hand this out. So the main message here is do not copy exactly what is on my slides. So the information I have on the PowerPoint slides, all of those are going to be available to you before class. So before class, after class, the whole semester, you'll have access to those PowerPoints. So just copying the words that I have on the PowerPoint slides is pretty useless. It's not a good use of time. So what you want to focus on is adding, rewriting in your own words, drawing, whatever helps you, kind of adding to these slides. So if you don't have anything to add and you understand that slide, great. Then you don't have to worry about it. Note-taking will kind of keep you engaged, make class a lot more worthwhile. So your notes should really just supplement the slides. And the slides I'll have up at least 12 hours before class. So by 10 p.m., noon, it's noon, by midnight the night before, I'll have the slides up. and I have them as a PowerPoint file, and I also have them, so these are already up. I have them as a PDF where there's 3 slides per page with lines next to each slide. So you can print out either of those, or if you just want to take notes and you don't want to print out all of the PowerPoints, I understand that's a lot of paper. I number all my slides, and I'll try to remember to do this semester. Sometimes I forget. I have numbers on all my slides, so you can just say slide 6 and then take notes on what I have on the slide. I just really don't want people copying. You can, but it's just not a useful way to take notes. I have a disclaimer at the bottom of that document that says, in the end, you're responsible for your education. I can't just open your brain and plug in a USB drive and transfer the information. So you have to figure out kind of what works for you. It being a science class, if you don't take a lot of science classes, it can be a little tough to figure out at first, but figure out what works, what doesn't work, and then you'll improve over the semester. Okay. Number 2 here is something I tell all of my classes. Use this as a study session. So you have to be here anyway. I'll talk about the attendance policy in a minute. You have to be in class. So if you actually focus for all 50 minutes, or let's say you focus for 30 minutes instead of 0 minutes in class, that's 50 minutes or 30 minutes you don't have to spend outside of class studying, right? If you really take it in, and I know that's a lot. I'm going to try to break up lecture with some activities, so it's not just me talking like this the whole time, but really focus. It's a really efficient use of time, which is hard to come by for everybody. Ask questions, I've already talked about that. That's the best way to learn and stay engaged. And then participate in class discussions if I ask questions, or ask for people's opinions, whatever, even if you're not 100% sure of the answer. Any questions so far? Okay. So these are all suggestions. You can take them or leave them, but I've learned over the years teaching that they are good suggestions and they're helpful. I know you won't take all of them. That's fine. At least take a few of them. I think they'll help you a lot. Okay, so outside of class, complete assignments and handouts. You will have some homework assignments and then some handouts that we might start in class and then you have to finish afterwards. So those, I'll show you the grade breakdown, but those will be part of your grade. Anything that's not graded, I'll let you know ahead of time. Same with if it is graded. There will be some handouts where I don't need it back. It's really just for your benefit. And I don't do busy work. It's always to help you, kind of force you to study in a way, force you to learn the material a little bit better rather than me just, like I said, talking up here. And then,
I have a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So are most of the material in class paper?
Yeah, so the handouts, a lot of them will be on paper. And so I'll post those to Canvas as well for people on Zoom. So that's one thing that I didn't do last semester because I wasn't sure how to deal with it. But what I'll do for people on Zoom, I'll tell you where the document is that you need. And then usually it'll be like a small group thing. So I'll put you into breakout groups and you guys work on it. And then you come back to the main
So
class.
are we able to print those and then, like, if anything is due, like hand it in as paper? Or do we have to submit everything online?
Right, yeah. Most of those will probably be, I'll probably do an upload. I'll have you upload it to Canvas, either a picture of it or a Word document if you fill out the Word document, just because I may not see you for a few days after you've filled it out, and I want to get you feedback quicker than that. So it'll probably be submitted online if you're on Zoom. Yeah, I still need to work that out, but yeah, good question. Okay. So I know people won't review their notes all the time, but even if you take 10 minutes after class and just kind of look through your notes again, at least then you've seen it twice. You saw it in class, you see it after class. It's going to help more than you expect. So review your notes regularly, not just before the test. It's a lot of material, and it's complicated material. We're talking molecular and cellular kind of stuff. Okay. So that's a lot that I'm expecting from you. So I want to let you know kind of what you can expect from me as a professor. I am very transparent as to what will be on the exams. Like I said, everything on my slides is fair game. The objectives, what I want you to know, will be obvious from the information I put on the slides, and then any assignments that you need to do, it's not going to be like a state secret. I'll let you know what's graded, what's not graded, when it's due, all of that stuff. So I try to be as clear as possible. I may forget to tell you some stuff, but if I do, just ask. Fairness, yeah. So I try to be as fair as possible in all ways. This usually comes down to grading, like at the end of the semester. So if you have an 89.5, that rounds up to a 90 by my math. If you have an 89.4, that's an 89 and you get a B. It's 0.1%. I understand that that's a really small line, but that's the way that I figured out to be most fair. So the exams are really objective. It's multiple choice and it's fill in the blank. There's no short answers. So I try to really be as fair as possible in all of the, well, throughout the class, but this really comes down to grading. Timely communication, I talked about that. I try to get back to you guys quickly. Oh, and I really try to post grades as fast as possible. I know that's really annoying when you don't get a grade back that you're waiting on. So I promise I grade those tests, those exams and assignments as quickly as I can. I'm dedicated to helping you learn. That's the whole point of any of the in-class activities. You can only focus for, I think studies have shown you can only focus for like 20 minutes, like really focus. So I'm going to be talking here for like 50 minutes. So I know you're not going to focus the whole time. So breaking it up with those class activities helps reinforce the concepts for you. And it also helps you kind of refocus rather than just listening to me the whole time. Just like you guys are respecting each other and hopefully me, I'll respect you in your time and any issues you run into, just communicate with me. That's all I ask. And this will be challenging. So it's not an easy class, but everyone in here, if you put in the time and the effort, even a modest amount of time and effort, well, modest, I guess, from my perspective, maybe not yours, it might be a lot of time for you. You can do well in here, you can. But you have to really put in that time and effort. And I want everyone to do well in here. I want everyone to get an A. I know it's not going to happen, but I want it to happen. Okay, so now some details on the syllabus. So I'm going to cover some of the main aspects, but rather than I think going over the syllabus is one of the most boring things in any class. But I want to hit on the main points that you guys are probably curious about. Oh, whoops. I forgot to open the chat here. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna stop sharing anyway. Okay. So I'm gonna hit the main points, and then if you have questions, write them on here. It can be totally anonymous. For those of you guys on Zoom, you can just post in the chat any questions you have as I'm going through the syllabus. And you can send it to me individually, or you can chat with the whole class. It doesn't really matter to me. I can't really do anonymous for you guys, but take one of those. You can ask one question, no questions, 10 questions. I don't care. I'll get to as many as I can. All right. So now I'm going to bring up the syllabus for you guys. Okay.
I do have a question.
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so the gold and green groups change weekly, right?
Right, yeah. So every other week, you'll be in person.
Okay.
So every even week, basically, you will be in class. And that's actually, I'll show you where that is on the Canvas page.
Okay, I have a question regarding it too.
Yep.
What if like Zoom worked better like the whole semester for like an individual? I'm just saying, for instance.
Like being on Zoom works better for you?
Yeah, like no in-person classes.
Yeah, we're not allowed to do that. So from my perspective, it doesn't really matter, but from a Piedmont college Piedmont College policy standpoint, you have to be in class for half of the semester.
Got you.
So that's the answer, sorry.
You're fine.
All right. Yeah, good questions. Thank you guys. Okay. Oh yeah, before I forget, labs start next week. I don't teach any of the bio labs this semester, so I won't be your lab instructor, but hopefully you've heard from your lab instructor about when you're meeting and what to do, but they don't start this week, correct? Right, okay. I say that. Okay, so first off, have you guys gotten emails about the student responsibility agreement that's on every, okay. Just go through and do all your courses at once, say you agree to whatever, you read the syllabus, all that stuff. If you don't, I think there are penalties as far as the course, so definitely go through and do that. That's just for all Piedmont courses. So click on that, get that done as soon as possible. I think within the first week, you have to get it done. It's only like, it's an acknowledgement that you read the syllabus, you know the academic honesty policy and something else. I don't remember. All right, so first on the homepage, like I said, I don't know if I said this in here, I work really well with organization. So I like to see a schedule. This is the only way I really stay on track. So this is here once you click on this class. And here you can see the week, the color of the week. So week 1 is green, week 2 is gold, etc. So if you forget what week you're in, just go to the homepage and you'll be able to see where you're at. If you forget what group you're in, that is under announcements. So I sent out an announcement with the green and gold groups. And you can see what group you're in here. That'll be there all semester. So on to the syllabus. You guys know when we're meeting, hopefully. My office hours and contact info are here. I'm not on campus on Thursdays. I live an hour away, so, and I don't teach on Thursdays. So any other day I'm here most of the day. I'm just teaching a lot of the day. So these are times when I'm definitely going to be in my office. If none of those work for you, email me. We can also meet on Zoom, but just let me know and I can send you a link. If you're not on campus for some reason but want to meet with me, that's fine. Okay. So grading, I assume most people are interested in, so I'll touch on that. Normal scale. So here's the point breakdown for you. You're going to have quizzes, you're going to have exams, and then just kind of other stuff, other assignments, whether it's homework, simple worksheets, nothing too intense. So quizzes are going to be 25% of your grade, exams are 65%. So you definitely want to focus on exams, but the quizzes can really help your grade as well. Those will be on Canvas. So I'll talk more about those as we get towards the first one, but I basically have, so if I have unit 1 and you have an exam at the end of unit 1, your quiz is going to be halfway through that unit 1. So it'll cover the first half of the material, kind of get you studying for it. And then you'll have the exam a couple weeks later, I think a couple weeks, but I'll show you on the schedule here in a minute. Those are 10 questions, multiple choice, pretty easy on Canvas. The exams, you guys are probably going to ask about that on your sheets. That's fine. They're multiple choice and fill in the blank, like I said before. The final is cumulative or comprehensive, but that's way far in the future. We don't have to think about that yet. You can turn in assignments late, and it's better than nothing, but there will be a 25% deduction for each day it's late. So even if you, like I say here, even if you turn it in at 12:01 p.m. and it was due at 12, like uploaded to Canvas, that's considered late. And again, that goes back to trying to be fair. I can't, it gets a little bit difficult when I don't have those hard and fast rules. Oh, attendance. Yeah. So I changed my attendance policy.
I have a question. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
No, you're
Are there any exceptions to late work? Like, if anything?
Sure, yeah. Exceptions to late work would be if you're sick, you have a documented excuse. Sports don't count because you can turn it, unless you don't have time to do it ahead of time. Say I assign it, like after, I don't know. If you don't have time to do it ahead of time before a sports event, I'll make exceptions there. But I need
confirmation that you had sports events.
What's that?
Like, you need documents that
documented. Yeah, like if you play a sport and you're away on a weekend tournament or something. Yeah. So there are exceptions to that, just like with anything absence oriented.
Okay.
Good question. So yeah, I changed my attendance policy to, rather than penalizing people for not being here, you get a bonus if you are here. So I'll take attendance every day. First off, let me say, if you don't attend class, you're not going to do well. It's a given. If you don't miss any classes throughout the semester, you get a 1% bonus on your final percentage grade. So that means if you had, we'll say, if you're on the cusp, this is when it usually matters. If you have a 79, let's say you have a 79.1, and you didn't miss any class, you get an 80.1. So you get a B instead of a C. So that's a huge, I know it doesn't sound like that much, but that's a huge bump just for not missing a class. If you only miss one class, then you get a half a percentage point bump. So that can also help put you over if you're like on the cusp. That doesn't include if you have an excused absence. So if you're sick or you have a sports event and that's documented, that doesn't count as an absence. So you can, if you go to the doctor 3 times throughout the semester, but you don't miss any other classes, and you show me a note that you were at the doctor's and you have evidence for it, then you get that 1% bump. So excused absences don't count as an absence, if that makes sense. All right, you know about the green gold alternating schedule, and then, one more thing I want to talk about, cell phones. I was really discouraged by how many people were just on their cell phone. It got worse throughout the semester as the semester wore on. But please don't be on your cell phone. I will call you out. If you want to, playing games, not like talking. If you're talking on your cell phone in here, that's really rude. But if you're looking at slides or something on your cell phone, that's fine. And that's pretty obvious because you'll be taking notes next to them. But don't be on social media or texting or playing games on your cell phone. It's really rude. So just like I'm respecting you guys and your time, I would prefer that you respect mine. So I hate having to say that, but if you need to use your cell phone, so I have my cell phone in here, like I said, because my child's in daycare. If I have to go pick him up because he's vomiting or something, I need to know, so I have to leave. So you can have your cell phone out. And if you need to go talk or text, step out of the room. Otherwise, it's just really distracting. All right, I think that's it. That's all I'm going to cover. If you guys, do you have questions written out? If you don't have a question written out yet, then write it down now and just go ahead and pass those sheets forward.
I have a question.
Yes.
What I can say? Okay, say like if we needed to leave class like maybe 10 minutes early, like what are your guidelines with that?
Yeah, if you have to leave class a little early for like sports or even a doctor's appointment, that's fine. Just let me know ahead of time. It won't count as an absence. I guess if you're leaving like 40 minutes ahead of time, I would need some kind of evidence that you actually have a documented, legitimate excuse. But 10 minutes ahead of time, if you have to leave, just let me know ahead of time. So I don't think you're just up and leaving. But yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I also have a question.
Yes.
So say you want to use like your iPad or your computer to take notes.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's totally fine. So if you have your laptop up, obviously, I don't know if you're actually paying attention to the class, but that's just something that's, kind of part of it. And I would just ask that you are on task and focused. But if you want to use an iPad or your computer, if you'd rather take notes on your computer, that's totally fine. You can have that in class. I've had students do that. It's really obvious if someone's on an iPad and you're taking notes, it's very clear. It's really easy to tell if you're not taking notes. A laptop's a little bit tougher, but that's on you. It's your education. So yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Anything else? Any questions written down? None? Okay. Yeah, I guess I answered a lot of questions that my other classes had. All right. What was I going to do on the schedule? Oh yeah, that's right. So just to give you a heads up, so here you can see quiz 1. So we have class we have class every day that's listed here as having class. The quizzes are online, they're on Canvas. You'll have all day to take it. So from midnight of that day, of January 29th, until 11:59 p.m., it'll be open and available on Canvas. You'll have a 15-minute time limit once you start it, but you can take it whenever during that day. We'll still meet for class that day. The information on the quiz it'll only cover what we've gotten to up until that day. So for quiz 1, it'll only go through chapter 2. I'm not gonna ask you any information that we're covering that day in class. The exams are in person. We'll have to take them not in this classroom, but in the bio labs. So we have enough space, but they are in person, so not online, assuming everything stays normal. And your first one will be February 8th. So I put all of those, I think I put all those in the assignments already, so they should be showing up on your Canvas calendar. Yeah, so they're all here. I mean, they're turned in on paper, so there's nothing actually in the assignment, but that's the only way I can get them to show up on your calendars. Okay, any other questions about the basics of the course? I think that's everything I had. All right. Oh. Sorry, this first class takes forever just because I have to go between so many different things. This won't be the norm. All right. Okay. So I think that's everything. If questions come up, feel free to ask or email or drop by my office. So my office is on the other side of this building, 215. So yeah, just kind of straight through. If you walk through that wall, it's right there. Okay, so we're gonna just dip our toe into biology. So talking about the basics of what biology is. So the definition of biology is just the study of living things. So bio means living, ology means study of, so it's a really broad subject, the study of living things, which is why you can meet biologists that do seemingly completely unrelated things. It's a really simple definition, but a really all-encompassing definition. And as you'll see in here in particular, even compared to like the second semester of biology, it really unifies a lot of the natural sciences. So like I said, we're going to be talking about chemistry, some molecular, well, I guess that's chemistry too. So yeah, we're going to be talking a good bit about chemistry. I will I'll be talking about it from the perspective of how it relates to biology. So this isn't a chemistry class, but you'll see a lot of chemical equations and some chemical reactions, because that's how we all function basically. All we are, and all the entire Earth is a bunch of atoms that are working together. So we're going to break it down into kind of those basic atoms and then slowly build it up to kind of a cell type level. It also can involve physics, zoology, obviously. So just the study of animals in general, botany, study of plants, all kinds of different topics kind of are under this umbrella of biology. Yeah, like I just said, biological systems are really just complicated chemical systems. So we're all just a bunch of chemicals when you break us down. The chemicals all work together in a very particular way, so we function like we do. And we'll talk a good bit about energy a little bit later, I think in the second unit. But all of this requires energy. So energy is the key to all life. If we don't have energy, we don't have any of us. We don't have any plants. We don't have any insects, any animals. So the key to all of life is some form of energy. So do you guys know what the ultimate source, like what's the main source of energy coming into our planet? The sun, yeah. So the sun is that ultimate source. Without the sun, none of this happens. So it all goes back to the sun basically powering all of us, kind of like a big, I guess, solar energy farm in a way. So here, we don't really have that much time. I was going to have you guys, if we had time, kind of talk with each other about what makes something alive. But does anyone individually, we only have a few minutes left, but does anyone want to offer up something that makes, how do you consider something alive? What's a characteristic of something that's alive? Something that, I mean, we all do, if you think about us being alive. There's a bunch of them, so.
We walk, we talk.
Yep. Yeah, we move. So movement is a big one. But plants are alive. They don't talk necessarily. They don't move from our perspective, but they have movement within them.
But they technically eat.
Yep, they eat. Yep. What else? So we got movement. So eating, actually, that's another one. Metabolism, like we use energy. Everything that's alive uses energy. That's metabolism. Yeah, reproduction. So if we didn't reproduce, there would be no more humans, right? And same with any living organism. So reproduction is critical. That makes something alive. What other characteristics? Yeah. Breathe. Yeah. So we're using chemicals. So basically oxygen, a molecule. So that kind of goes back to the almost energy source. But yeah, we have to ingest. It's a kind of weird form of energy. Yep. Good. Those are some good starts. So there's actually 7 characteristics of life. We'll start here again. So if you don't get all these down, that's fine. But I'm going to put them up here for now. But we'll do this. I'll start with this slide on Friday. So you don't have to write them all down right now. And they're on Canvas. But you can break everything down to a cell. Anything that's alive, the most basic form of life is a cell. So a bacteria is only one cell, but it's alive. Anything below the cellular level, we don't consider alive. Ordered complexity, I'll talk more about that on Friday, what that is. Response to stimuli, so we respond to cold, heat, hopefully, light, dark, all of that. growth, development, reproduction, we kind of group all those together. We use energy, which people mentioned. All living things have some form of homeostasis, which just means, I'll talk about this more, just a balance. We have to balance our systems. If one system goes completely haywire, it can cause some major issues. And then finally, and I'll talk about this a good bit Friday too, evolutionary adaptation. So we change over time. A species changes over time to become more well adapted to its environment. That goes for any given species. So all living things can adapt to their environments. Maybe they don't do it well, or maybe they kind of make some mistakes, but they do adapt over time. And that is all we have time for today. So we'll continue on with those themes on Friday. Yeah, I think that's it. I'll see you guys Friday.